Good evening, everybody. My name is Jen, the Caffeinated Crafter. Today is Friday, July the 11th. I forgot what day it was, 2025, and welcome back to my Flosstube channel. If you're new, welcome. This is a channel where I talk about all my cross stitch. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I changed my thing, as you can see. That's the Friends quotes. I showed it in my last Flosstube, so if you want to see it close up, go check that out from last week. The window has the sun reflecting off of it right now, so we're just gonna have to deal. And it may sound a little echoey in here. I went ahead and closed my door completely because I got the kids today, and I didn't want it to get too crazy loud. So it might sound a little echoey today because I have the door closed, so sound's gonna bounce. Anyway, let's get into the stitching. We have some fun stuff. Okay, so here's my board. Okay. So I got my Monopoly stitching done, so we'll do a new round of Monopoly today for anyone playing along at home. The only thing I did not get to was my marathon stitching, Andrew's Whip into Shape challenge. Things were happening and I was not able to get to that. I was not getting home until probably 6:30, 7 o'clock, just about every single night this week. It was highly annoying. But no worries. I'll catch it up. I'll catch up catching rays. And my Whip of Shame, so Whip into Shape and Whip of Shame are both shameful because I didn't get either one of the goals completed for the week. Right. I think that was my kid that was meowing. Riding the wave. I worked on it. I just didn't get all the stitches that I needed to. No worries. I'll get it done. I always do. Oh. These three down here, I got their goals done. We got some goals done. So they're gonna get replaced, and we're gonna update some boards, and we're gonna update the big board with the Blue's Clues marker. Yeah, okay. So what did I actually get to work on this week? I have all my whips in my bag here. I don't have them in any particular order, so we're just gonna pull one out and see what we get. Okay, so, no, I do want to show them in order. Sorry. Let's do the Monopoly one first. Okay, so for the final piece in Monopoly, I needed to work on the light blue property whip, which was Christmas Reindeer. This is a kit by MP Studio, and I'm not sure if it's currently available or not. That's the code for the kit. I know that Charting Creations had it for a bit, but I'm not, because it's a Russian kit, so I'm not sure if it's still available, but that's what it's gonna look like when it's done. And for Monopoly, I needed to do 600 stitches, and I'm using everything that came in the kit, and I believe this might be an 18 count white Aida. It's a white Aida. It doesn't matter if it's 16 or 18. I feel like it's an 18 count though. And I'm using all the floss that came in the kit, and you should be seeing what it looked like before. And here is where I got to with it. So obviously I worked on the antlers. So there's some stitches here that need to be filled in. Look at her eye, isn't it pretty? But there's stitches here that need to be filled in, but that is the the ornaments hanger. That's right there. Otherwise, this antler is done, minus the back stitching. And then I started coming down this way, and then I was like, you know what, because it's a color chart, and it's a color chart, and I don't have a copy. I'm just working off the original copy, and I don't want to mark it. So I decided to kind of color complete. Plus, I was telling Alara, down here, like this area right here, I counted wrong and I stitched something wrong. So there's like a whole section of color that isn't correct. So I decided to pick one of the main colors that's going through all of the antlers, and I did the entire thing. And there's like, I'm gonna stand up for a second because my arm is tired holding it up. But there's like maybe 6 stitches going out this way of one of the colors that I did up here. But because this is messed up and I don't know where it's messed up, I'll just do that later. But I basically completed, did I complete 2 colors? This brown here is completely done. That's the one that needs the 6 stitches down here. And then, oh, the lighter brown here is the one that I was working on, and it's almost done. But I figured I got that brown done, and then I was like, oh, let me pick one of the other ones, and I started working on that to finish off the 600. And I figure next time this comes out, I'll continue doing that and just picking a symbol like kind of up here, because this is the very tippy top of the pattern, and this is the end of the pattern over here. And I'll just keep picking the symbols, like starting at the top of the antlers and just filling that out completely. And then basically what I plan on doing is whatever is not accurate here, I'm just gonna stitch over it. I don't even care. Because that's what I did right there. Like that dark brown was all through here, and then I realized I screwed it up. And so this was a blend, and I just stitched over that where that blend had to go. Can't even tell. Can't even tell. So I'm gonna do that for the rest of it too. And then I'll stitch over it with the correct color, and then wherever that dark brown that's incorrect, wherever it needs to be filled in, I'll just go back and fill that in. So, but got my 600 stitches done. So yay for that. I wasn't even sure if I was gonna get that done because that was what I worked on last night. That was all I worked on. Okay, so first thing okay, now we're gonna get into the weekly whips. Let me go ahead and do the whip of shame. So my whip of shame for the month of July is stuck. It's stuck in the zipper. Okay, whip of shame, month of July. So is Riding the Wave. This is a creative accents kit designed by Jim Warren, and that is what it's gonna look like when it's done. For anybody new, my whips of shame are pretty much like my old kits that are, 150 years old, and they're not anywhere close to being done. So I have you guys pick a whip. We vote between 2 every month, and I work on it for basically 100 stitches a day for that month. So my goal for this month is to get 3,100 stitches on this. And I'm like, for the week, I'm like 3 days behind. But I think overall I'm pretty good because I started stitching ahead. So I might actually be right even where I'm supposed to be right now. I think. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, this is where I'm at now. I did 416 stitches this week. And I have a feeling it was mostly all like right in here. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those whips where it looks like absolutely nothing until all of a sudden it's bam in your face. This is what's happening. Like I see it. You can see a horse here. And this is the water kind of crashing up. And I think that there's supposed to be another horse right here, like a figment of a horse coming in. It's going to be like right here. That horse right there is that one right there. And then the horses are going to be coming out this way. So over here, I think is where the head's going to be of that one right there. See what I mean? So it's, I mean, it's starting to take shape, so that's cool. So I'll just kind of keep chipping away on that. And then for anybody who did not listen to my ramblings at the end of last week's video, because I think I brought this up at the end of last week's video, and I know not everybody watches till the very end. I'm gonna say it now while I've got this out. I know I usually have you guys vote on Whip of Shame for the about halfway through the month, which I think would normally be today or next week. We're changing it up. I really do not know how many of you guys saw this part, because I really think I talked about it at the very end. I wanted to bring back temperature whips, but I wanted to incorporate the Whips of Shame, because while I don't remember when I talked about this. Did I talk about this at the beginning or the end? I don't remember. I know I did talk about it because somebody commented that they were excited I was combining the two. So we're going to combine Whip of Shame with temperature stitching. There is one Whip of Shame that I do definitely want to have on this temperature stitching, because I feel like I'm going to do 2,000 stitches. Let me just back up. Hang on. Before we get into the rest of the whips, I wanted to bring temperature stitching back because I enjoyed it. But I already have Whip of Shame, and with me working long hours and then having the kids and everything, I can only handle one kind of like one extra thing at a, you know, on top of what I'm going to work on for the night. So I decided to combine Whip of Shame and temperature stitching, and I was like, oh, my whips for temperature stitching will be the Whips of Shame, and I'll have you guys vote on them. And I'm going to have 5 total, and each one is going to have 2 numbers assigned to it, so we kind of get through the 2,000 a little bit faster. So there's going to be another video popping up this weekend for you guys to vote on them. There is going to be, you're only going to vote for I think 4 of them though, because there is one that I definitely want to have as a temperature stitch initially, because I think that 2,000 stitches will get it close enough to a finish that I can throw it into the finish the shit pile. And it's not a whole lot of latte. Come on, Gracie. She was pissed the door was closed. It's not a whole lot of latte. But yeah, you guys will vote for the other 4, and you'll vote between the 2. So I'll become the caffeinated ophthalmologist again. Number 1, number 2. But yeah, so we'll do that, and we're going to do 2,000 stitches. I like the 2,000 because I think it gives it a lot of progress when it gets put away, and 3,000 is too much. Like the whips. Hi, Gracie. Say hi, Gracie. Gracie Lou. 1,000. Because you guys are voting, I feel like 1,000 is going to be too quick, since there's going to be 2 numbers assigned to them. So I'm worried that 1,000 will be too quick, where you almost would be voting on something every week. 3,000 is going to be too much. Like by the end of the month, I'm ready to throw these things in the trash whenever I work on them. I mean, seriously, by the time I'm getting close to that 3,000, I'm like, I am so sick of this project. That's why they're Whips of Shame. They're nice. I like them, but yeah. So I think 2,000 will be a good number. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so the first, and Honeymoon Sunset we'll do at the end. First weekly stitch I worked on. First wheel spin was actually finish the shit, which was like finally, because I felt like it had not been getting picked at all. And I decided to work on Dolly Mama Ho. So this was a little kit that one of my subscribers had sent me. And I'm using everything that came in the kit. It's a 14 count white Aida. And I don't have a stitch goal for this. It's just work on it until it's done. And here is where I got to with it. And I did 400 stitches, and that is including whatever back stitching that I did. So her legs are back stitched. I just got to do her boots, but the legs were just back stitching. That was it. Started on the umbrella. I still have to back stitch the rest of the umbrella handle. I was gonna say stem. And her boots, the tree next to her. Actually, I think that's a tree she's holding. But yeah, I mean, there's still a lot to do on it, but I backstitched a good portion of her dress as well, so I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So there was that. And then the next thing I spun was Ocean's ABC. And when I looked at how many stitches I needed to do, let me show you this real quick. Ocean's ABC, it's a kit from DesignWorks. This was my large kits. So I didn't spin Ocean's ABC, I spun large kits. And it was between this and Christmas ABC. But it's a kit from DesignWorks. Artwork is by Krista Hamrick. And when I looked at how many stitches were remaining for their goals, Christmas ABC has a few thousand. Ocean's ABC only had 800 stitches to finish its goal. So I did it. I don't know why I was pausing because I told you that it met its goal. But yeah, it only needed 800 stitches to finish the goal. And I was like, oh, easy peasy, I could do that. And so I did. Let me show you all of it. The before picture is just going to be, actually, let me show you just where I worked first. Here we go. So this is M for mermaid. And so I finished stitching the tail and back stitched it. I brought the border down. I think I back stitched, I think in this session, I did the back stitching on the inside of the block until the thread ran out. This is the, like you saw there's stitches there. This is the M here. I just didn't back stitch it yet. Cause I was waiting until I got this more completed so that I had something to anchor the end of the thread in once it was done. Cause I think the word actually goes out to like here. So by the time I got this done, I was like, well, let me just back stitch it real quick. And then I was like, oh, let me work on, because I didn't backstitch this part because I needed to do her hair. So I was doing, like, trying to color, like, work a thread until I didn't feel comfortable working that color. And then I just had, like, this many stitches left. So I was like, let me just grab a border color so I don't have a hanging thread because this is going to be going away for a while. And I didn't want to leave like a yellow hanging, and I'm like, where does it go? So I grabbed the border color because that's obviously very easy to figure out. But I got 800 stitches on this. And then since it's going away, this is everything. And I should have a before photo up of where it was at the start when I first pulled this out, like in the very beginning to work on it. Like whenever I pulled it out. Not quite January, but whenever I decided to, maybe it was January for temperatures, I think. So that goal is done. And so I had to pull a replacement piece. So for my replacement for large kits, I didn't have when I was looking, so I have I'm trying to condense my active rotation, right? So I had condensed the Monopoly stitching down, and I condensed my active rotation list down, but I didn't want to like be, you know, having weird stitch counts at the end of the year and unfinished goals and this, that, and the other. So when a goal is completed, I'm going to pull from all my boards until I can't anymore out of that category. And then whatever I can't do, I'll pull out of my closet of despair back here, which has all of my whips. So for large kits, when I was looking at all of my boards, all of the old focus pieces, the temperature whips, and the inactive Monopoly whips, I only had 3 pieces that were in the large kits category. One was Ocean's ABC. The other one was Christmas ABC, which is already in my list to pick from. And the third one was Christmas Reindeer, which is a Monopoly whip, like an active Monopoly whip. So I had to pull a large kit out of my closet of despair. And so I will show it when we come back, but I will tell you, I decided to do Cherry Blossom Creek. So that's exciting. So once I got that goal done, I was like, I want to get more goals done. What else can I do? And I said, screw the wheel. And I looked at the ones that I could for sure get done in like one sitting. And so the next one that I picked up is Winter in the Village. And this is by Stony Creek Collection. And that is what's going to look like when it's done. And I'm using the Call for Floss. It's mostly DMC. The bottom here is a Karen Water Lily silk in the color, I was gonna look for it on the list, but I have it right here, in the color Polar Ice. And then there was one little spot that called for a silver petite treasure braid. And I'm doing it 2/2 on a 28 count even weave in the color Summer Sky. And I will show you where I worked first. Actually, let me just do it like this because okay, so this is where I worked. And I got 550 stitches on it, and it was all in the building right here. So basically from here down, this entire building is stitched except for the cross stitches. And that's the only spot that I saw in the pattern that the petite treasure braid goes. But I did it. But basically, cross stitch wise, everything on the first story of the building is completed, and then all of the red in the second story is completed, and I just got to finish the windows and then do the roof. So, and then here's the whole thing, because I do not remember where I started from, but it was only 2,000 stitches total. Same with Ocean's ABC, it was 2,000 stitches that I put in. But this over here is completely and totally done. So that's cool. So this will be going away for a bit. But I really like that project a lot. So that was in my seasonal category. And so what I decided to replace this one with, when I looked at my whips, what am I replacing it with? Mother Nature Spring. So I'll show you that one too when we come back. And then the last one that I want to show you, or the last whip where I was like, oh, I can get this goal done, is from the big full coverage category, which is greater than 250,000 stitches total. And this is Hiding Place. It is charted by the Cross Stitch Studio. Artwork is by Abraham Hunter. It's 869 by 583 and it has 134 colors. And that is what it's going to look like when it's done. This was also one of my old temperature whips, so it only needed 2,000 stitches as well. Like, obviously it's not done, but okay. So, to get this goal completed, I needed to do 700 stitches, and I'm doing it with the called for DMC 2/1 tent stitch on a 28 count easy count Lugana. And that is where I got to with it. So I got my 700 stitches done. And I like that you can actually start to see that it's a tree over here. Like here's the trunk, and then there's like leaves kind of coming in right there. It's that's from the upper right hand corner, and that's where I'm working right now. It's probably going to be hard to see, but that's where I'm working right now. And then I was trying to think of where what my starting photo is, but this is the starting photo from when I started, when I pulled this for temperature stitching. And I am now sitting at 13,385 stitches completed out of 506,627. I am at 2.64%. And for anyone who did not watch the whip parade and you're wondering where all those other thousands of stitches are, hang on, there we go. They're on the upper left-hand corner. They're on the upper left-hand corner. So, yeah. I decided to, okay. I was double checking because when I was holding it, I was like, this does not seem like it's on the same row. It is. I decided to work on the diagonal, and because I'm going through my diagonal phase again, and in tent stitch, I like working from the upper right hand corner. So I counted over and did that. So, anywho. So there's that. So that's going to be going away for a while. And so my big full coverage replacement is going to be Patchwork Pilgrim. Okay. Final whip is my favorite, your favorite, everybody's favorite, my focus piece. Like I said, I did not do the catch and raise whip into shape stitching. I'll get it. You guys know me. I'll get it done. But my focus for the year is Honeymoon Sunset. It's charted by the Cross Stitch Studio. Artwork is by Abraham Hunter. It is 869 by 649 and it has 133 colors. And this is what it's going to look like when it's completed. And my goal is to get it to 50% by the end of the year. I've worked in all the corners. I'm only going to show you where I'm currently working, which is, well, I gotta back out. Look at that, which is this area here, the upper right-hand corner. I've converted it into a diagonal. Hiding Place I was working on in 2 diagonals as well, which I probably did put the meme up, but I didn't say it. But I'm doing this 2/1 tent stitch on a 25 count easy count Lugana. And hang on one second. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Ta-da! I got 1,400 stitches on it. Working on this in 2 diagonals. Okay. So, yeah, 1,400 stitches. And where is it? That little gray area right there, that is the start of the bird bath that's going to go right here. How exciting. And starting the walkway, the path, and I believe that the house is done. Like, there may be a few stitches for the roof right here in the corner, but I want to say all the stitches that are right along here kind of are like the lighthouse colors. So isn't that exciting? House is done. Gazebo, that gazebo looks amazing. So the next time this comes out, I'll be working my way up the lighthouse, working my way downtown. It's looking so good. And then once it gets up to, so I have park threads, right? And my plan was to work that, I'm still thinking about it. I was working the diagonal, right? And, oh my God, I was working the diagonal and I was working the park threads, and if the thread was done, I would end the thread instead of parking in the next diagonal, because my plan was to do the next diagonal coming from the top and going down like I have been doing with my other ones. But I don't know if I want to do that or if I'm just going to start at the bottom and work my way up again. I'm not sure. But hang on. So I want to show you where okay, give me 1 second. I want to show you where the next 2 diagonals are going to be. It's going to be a bit before I get to them, but still. So my next 2 diagonal section, the bottom of it is going to be right there. Right there. I was trying to show you so that I could show you how close we were to the bottom edge. Look at that. Yeah. So I'm not going to hold the whole thing up. I'll just hold, oh my God. I'm getting so much stitching on this, I can't hold it up properly anymore. I used to be able to just do this. So I got 1,400 stitches on it, and I am now sitting at 250,971 stitches completed. So I passed the 250,000 mark. That's exciting. Out of 563,981, I am at 44.50%. So I would like to try to keep doing like 1,400 stitches at least on this piece every week, to try to kind of get ahead like I was before. Because I used to be so far ahead of my goal. My goal this month is to get it to 45%. So increasing it by 1% every month. And like towards the beginning of the year, I was so close that I was actually hitting that month's goal by the second week of the month. And I'd like to, but then it was like, you know, things happened and what have you. And it was getting to the point where I was like, in June, I barely made it, hitting my goal. So I did a lot of stitches the past 2 weeks in order to kind of get it to where it's at right now. So I want to try to keep that momentum going, and so I can kind of get ahead of the goal and get back to a comfortable spot so I can stay on track to get my goal, to get my year-end goal done for that. Okay, so that is all my whips. Let's go ahead and get these boards updated. You know what I should have done? I should have pulled everything out of the bag and then used the bag to put the whips as I showed them. a prudent floss tuber would have done that. But I'm not prudent or efficient. Okay, I like to waste time. Okay, so let's get these boards updated. So the first one we're going to update is my little board. This one right here. Dolly Mama Ho, one of my work until it's finished. We're gonna draw a line through the remaining stitches for my goal because I'm just working on it until it's done. I don't have like an end stitch count for it. I did 400 stitches on it. And then riding the wave, I had 718 stitches. I did another 416, making this 1,134. And my goal is dropping from 2,382 down to 1,966. Catching Ray's marathon stitching, I didn't do any, so I gotta catch that back up. Okay, so that's it for that board. Let's go ahead and do this one. I think, let me see, hang on one second. Okay, the only one I need to update on this is Honeymoon Sunset. Start tipping forward. So my goal is to get it to 50% by the end of the year. I did 1,400 stitches on it. So I'm going from 37,660. This is from my whip parade for anyone new. 37,660 stitches this year to 39,060. And my goal is dropping from 32,420 down to 31,020. That's exciting. And then my goal is increasing or my percent complete is increasing from 44.25% to 44.50%. Yay! That's all I got to update on that board. Okay. Next board is going to be my Monopoly board. So I did my whip for the light blue properties. So, okay, real quick, because I feel like I explain this every video. I had a whip for every property. And then I was tired of like we're halfway through the year and like this one hasn't had any stitches whatsoever. So I looked at all of the whips and I picked the one that out of each color group that had the most stitches because my goal is 4,000 stitches per whip. I picked the one that had the most stitches and we're gonna work on that one for all of the properties in that color group until that goal is met, and then I'll move on. But my replacement whips are also pulled from this as well, like for my other, for my other stuff. Like Christmas ABC is for Mediterranean and Baltic, but I decided to use Christmas ABC as my large kits whip, and Spring in the Village is going to be the whip for the brown properties. Okay, so Christmas reindeer, I had 1,100 stitches. I did another 600, so that is going up to 1,700 stitches. And my goal is dropping from 2,900 down to 2,300. That's all I got to update on that one. Then my final one, okay, where are we at? So Winter in the Village, we had 1,450 stitches. I needed 550 to get my goal done, which I did. So this is now 2,000 stitches. And the goal, I don't know why I'm doing this because I already know what I'm going to do with this. The goal is done. And then hiding place, I had 1,300. I needed 700 to get my goal done, and I did that. So that brings that one to 2,000 stitches. And this goal is now done. And then the final one is Ocean ABC down here. I had 1,200 stitches. I needed 800 to get my goal done, which I did. So that brings that one. My temperature whips, FYI, they had goals of 2,000 stitches. And that goal is now done. Yay! So you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna put the cap back on this before I get blue dry erase marker all over my quilt over here. We're gonna go ahead and partially update this by erasing the completed goals and getting them off of my board. Oh, maybe. We're gonna go ahead and erase that word low as well. How exciting is this? Ocean ABC, let's get this one erased. Yay! Got 3 goals knocked out, look at that. Okay, and then on my, so I did get a new marker. It's, in my opinion, it's not as good as my original Blues Clues marker, but I think this will work. It's a Sharpie king size. It's not Blues Clues, but my Blues Clues marker is drying out. Okay, so these are all my active whips, well, sort of active. What are we marking off? We're marking off Ocean ABC. Right there? Okay. So we're gonna mark off Ocean ABC. Oh, it's not as good, it's not as big. They didn't have the project markers at Walmart. And then, what else are we doing? Winter in the Village. Where is it? Down here. Oh, Winter in the Village, right here. Whoops. There we go. And then the last one is Hiding Place, which is right here. I don't like this one as much. It's not as big. Okay. So there we go. 3 more knocked off of there. That's fabulous. Okay. You know what we didn't do? We didn't update this for Goodnight Bears is done for the year, oh, for now. So we can cross that off, and let me go ahead and put Riding the Wave on here as well. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and break to Monopoly, and when we come back, I will show you the Monopoly whips. I'm going to show you the replacement whips for the 3 pieces that I got the goals done on, and let you know what what their stitch counts are to get their goals done, and kind of go over a little bit of plans that I was thinking about, trying to get some more goals done. So, be right back. Okay, welcome to round 19 of Monopoly. I got all the pieces in their place and we are ready to go. We are going to start with the cat who's over there on States Avenue. Five. Can you guys see that? Yeah, 5. Let me come over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tennessee Avenue. I feel like somebody just bought Tennessee. Yes, the Penguin owns Tennessee Avenue, and with all the Penguin's properties that it owns, rent is going to be $400 on that whip. And the orange ones are, what are they? My orange ones are, oh yes, coffee break. Oh, that's exciting. I love that whip. Okay. Next up is going to be the dog. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Indiana. That one is bought by the cat. Ooh, winter sampler. Yay! Okay, so we are going to be paying rent of $200. So anybody that's kind of just listening and they're confused why rent's higher with one and not the other, all rent across the board is 200 stitches. Once a token owns more than 6 properties, their rent increases by 100 on all of their properties. And if they own more than 1 property in that color group, those rents increase also by 100. So that's why one rent was 400 and the other one was 200. So the dog will be stitching 200 stitches on winter sampler for rent. Okay, next up is the duck. I gotta move this down because the duck and the penguin are gonna be down here. There we go. Is that gonna stay? Yes, okay. The duck is down here on Connecticut. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. St. James. And St. James is owned by the penguin, so that's another 400 stitches for rent. So coffee break will be getting 800 stitches. I am super excited about that because I really like that piece a lot. And I am excited that maybe, just maybe, I will get that block that I'm working on done. Okay, last up is the penguin, who's over here on luxury tax, which means I'm going to be owing some stitches to Catch and Raise. 1, 2, 3, Mediterranean. So we passed go, so we got to do 200 stitches on Catch and Raise for passing go, and then he landed on Mediterranean, which is owned, by him. So he only needs to do 100 stitches on that since he owns it. And that will be Spring in the Village. So that's not too bad. So a total of 400, 800, 1,000, 1,200, 1,300 stitches for Monopoly total. That's not too bad, honestly. Okay. All right, so let me go gather that stuff up and I will be back. Okay. Oh, and I left my notebook over there. Oh well. Okay, so let's go over the Monopoly whips real quick. 2 pieces are paying rent on the orange properties, and that whip is Coffee Break. That is a kit from Design Works designed by Krista Hamrick. Beat up cover photo. And this whip will need 800 stitches on it. Let me show you my starting point. Whips like this, I like to work 1 block at a time until I get the entire block done. It needs to be washed. I like to work on 1 block at a time until I get that block done, and then I move on to the next one. So my 800 stitches are all going to go in this block. So the cross stitching, I want to say, is close to being done. That's why I was like, oh, I wonder upon wonders if I might be able to get this thing done, the block. Like the saucer, I think, is completely stitched. I just got to finish stitching the cup and then finish the border and back stitch. That's why I was like, maybe this block will be able to get done. And if it does, if I can get that block done, because you know how I am. I'm a very poor judge of how much stitching is in something. So I'm assuming that 800 stitches will get that block done. I could be completely and totally wrong, but I think if it does get done, I want to just move across the bottom and work on the iced coffee. I love iced coffee. It's probably my favorite beverage. I think I want to move over here and work on the iced and start the iced coffee block. I think that's what I want to do. So, but yeah, there's my starting point for that. So these three are completely done. Okay. And then, so that was 2 of them. Put that over there. Then the next one is going to be, let me see, let me skip down to the penguin. The penguin passed go. And so go, my stuff for, never mind. I had a brain fart. So okay. This is why I was looking confused. So my whip for go, free parking, and then luxury tax and income tax is catching rays, right? The penguin was on luxury tax. And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't do any stitching for catching rays for luxury tax. And I was like, wait a minute, was it in the wrong spot? Did I do something wrong? What happened? Then I remembered this has gone over 2 weeks. I did that stuff last week. Okay. Anyway, okay. So the whip for go is luxury tax. So when you pass go, you do 200 stitches, and that is going to be catching rays. This is also my whip into shape piece that I have to get caught up on its stitches. So this will be my starting point for that. Oh, I guess I could just do right here. So my Monopoly stitching is going to go in this one here. The 200 stitches will go in this one here. My whip into shape stitches are going to continue into this diagonal, and then once this diagonal is done, I'm gonna kind of basically fill it in by the diagonal with whip into shape stuff from Andrew until his marathon happens. And then if I finish this page, then I'll move down into this. But Monopoly is going to stay, like if it's not gonna happen, but Monopoly will stay in this diagonal, and if it hits this, then I'll move up and start a new diagonal for Monopoly. And then once all of that is done, once his challenge is over, once Andrew's challenge is over, then I'll just work on getting it all kind of back into one diagonal instead of multiples. But yeah, so I gotta do, I was 430, I needed to do 430 stitches for the whip into shape challenge, and I didn't even look to see how many stitches I'm gonna have to do like for today. Today might be a rest day. I think tomorrow is gonna be like at least 100, because I know the weekends he's gonna start running more. But we'll go over that next week. And 200 stitches for Monopoly for that. And then the penguin landed on Mediterranean, and it owns Mediterranean, so we only need to do 100 stitches on this piece. And that is going to be Spring in the Village from Stony Creek Collection. And this is going to be my starting point with that. Where am I at? This, I think this one has the least amount of progress on it. That's it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So I'll probably, I'm almost wondering if because I kind of like working from the end. So I may try to see if I can continue to work my way over this way and just slowly make my way over there so I can get to the end. Because that's where, maybe try to continue my 100 stitches this way. I mean, it's only 100, it's not going to get me very far, but yeah. Or maybe I'll pull this out and I'll decide that I want to finish cross-stitching that building right there in the middle. Who knows? We shall see. But yeah, this one has the least amount of progress on it out of the 4. I have all 4 of those seasonal villages started. Winter in the Village has the most progress, and this one has the least amount of progress. Okay, and then the final whip for Monopoly is Winter Sampler, right? Now I'm second guessing myself. Hang on, I need my notebook. I want to make sure I pulled out the right whip. Yes, okay. Want to make sure I pulled the right one out. All right. So Winter Sampler. This is from the Kohler Design Studio, and artwork is by Sandy Orton, and this is what it looks like when it's done. And I'll go over fabric and everything when I work on it. But this is going to be my starting point. Right here. And I do have this in Pattern Keeper. My numbers are not 100% accurate because of course of the back stitching, but also I do not have all of the stitches marked off in Pattern Keeper yet because I was working off of a paper pattern and then they updated to where it recognizes fractionals. So I was able to put this in Pattern Keeper now. So with what I have marked off, I am starting off at 11.92%. But like I said, that number is going to significantly increase once I figure out exactly where I am with the stitching and mark those stitches off in Pattern Keeper. But yeah, that's going to be my starting point, and this is going to get 300 stitches. I don't know if I may or may not continue in this section right here, only because I know that this part is marked off correctly because that's where I worked last time. And I don't have to worry about trying to find my place and mark stuff off up at the top. I don't know yet. I do not know. But yeah, this will get 300 stitches. I'm happy with the selections for Monopoly this week because all of those projects I really, really enjoy. So I may or may not have all of the Monopoly stitching done next week. Maybe. Be prepared. It could go either way. It really could be 50-50. Because it's only 1,300 stitches total, and those projects are very easy to stitch on, if that makes sense. Like super easy to stitch. Okay, let's go over so that's the Monopoly stitching for the week. So be prepared because we may end up doing a new Monopoly round next week. But maybe not. I really do not know right now. Okay, so let's go over my replacement whips for my category rotation. Okay, so the big full coverage replacement to replace Hiding Place is going to be Patchwork Quilt Room, and this is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Artwork is by Ciro Marchetti, or however you say his name, And I got the max color version, and it's going to be 700 by 490 with 238 colors. And this is what it looks like. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. And I am pulling this out of my temperature list. And I'll go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and go over like the stitches and the fabric and stuff since I'm pulling it out for the first time in a while. But this is where I'm at with it right now. I am doing a 2 strands full cross on a 20 count, easy count Aida. And I am starting off this bit, it's currently sitting at 7,159 stitches out of 343,000. I am at 2.09%. To finish the goal of the temperature stitching, I need 1,700 more stitches. So after I had decided, I had already been like, okay, this is what I'm going to replace it with, and I had like all pulled out and everything. And then when I was looking at all of my whips to pick from, and I'm like, oh, I could have picked this one and it had less stitches to get the goal done. I should have done that one instead. By then I'd already pulled it out and I was like, ah, whatever. Okay, the one that is going to be replacing my Winter in the Village for seasonal category is going to be Mother Nature Spring, and this is out of Just Cross Stitch magazine from 2023. Or is it 25? No, I feel like it was 2023. Mother Nature Spring. And I'm using the called for DMC. Trying to see if the year was on this. I did screenshots and printed it, but it's not. I'm using the call for DMC, and I'm stitching it 2/2 on a 28 count tea-dyed Monaco, and that is my starting point with it. This is also pulled out of my temperature whips. She's so pretty. I love these pieces. Mother Nature Spring. She will need another 1,300 stitches to get her goal done. And then the final replacement piece is going to be for my large kits category, replacing Ocean's ABC. So like I was saying, out of all the boards that you saw me updating, I only had three pieces that I had listed in the large kits category. 2 of them were in my category rotation. The 3rd one is in the Monopoly rotation. So I pulled from the Out of the Closet of Despair. That's its new name now. And I decided to do Dimensions Gold Collection, Cherry Blossom Creek. And it is designed by Sung Kim. I don't know how to say her name. Their name. And I'm using everything that came in the kit, and it's a 16 count light blue Aida. And I did an upper left hand corner start. Not very far along with this at all. Lindsay from Blushing Pink Stitches also has this as a whip. And that is my starting point with that one. So when I pull whips out of the Closet of Despair, for right now, they will have a goal of 2,000 stitches. I suppose what I can do for right now, so this will be kind of like a new whip that you guys will see. So this will be the new large kits whip. I think you can hear my kid. Give me 1 second. Let me grab my markers. And I should have grabbed this board as well. I was trying to be fabulous and partially cleaning up between like Monopoly and everything, and I just realized I need to update my boards to add Cherry Blossom Creek on here. So, okay, here we go. Oh, and I grabbed my one that's drawing out my big Blue's Clues marker. It's maybe I can use this to write, I don't know. Cherry Blossom Creek. And then I suppose what I'll do for right now is we'll put I was trying to think of where to put it on my tracking board. My temperature whip board is the only one. I have plans for the space on one of my Monopoly boards. But, whoops. This board right here is the only one that has space to put Cherry Blossom Creek. So I think what I'll do, we're gonna ignore these numbers here. I'll just add to this one. I may end up rearranging some of this stuff, like taking pictures of my boards and condensing to where I have one board instead of 4, or maybe 2 boards, where I have like my active whips on one board, so it's not like all weird. But we're gonna do 2,000 stitches as a goal for Cherry Blossom Creek. I should probably put Creek on there because I have Cherry Blossom Creek. There we go. That's terrible handwriting. Holy cow. But I think I'm gonna condense it to where I have the active whips on one board as opposed to having to flip through a bunch of different ones. And then that way we can see better how many stitches I have left of everything. I think that would be good. And so I'll have like, and then the board that I ended up putting them on, yeah, I got it. You'll see it in the next video. I'll show it in the next video. Okay, so my plans for the upcoming week, I need to also film that's it for that part. Now we're moving on to plans. So my plans are, I'm going to film the Help Me Choose video to pick the new temperature whips of shame that we're gonna be doing. I'm going to be doing starting in August once my current whip of shame is completed. I'll just start the temperature stitching for the whips of shame in August. I need to catch up catching rays for whip into shape for Andrew's marathon stitching, and catch up my whip of shame, work on the Monopoly stuff, and then the whips. Okay, so here's where I was like, oh, we'll talk about plans. So when I was looking at my active list, I'm trying to see them on my boards here. I was looking at my stuff and I was like, if I plan this out right, because what I've been doing is I've been spinning a wheel for the category, and then I pick one of those 2 whips to work on in that category every night. And I was like, when I was looking at my list, once I started getting these goals done, I was having flashbacks to when I was like, goal! And I was getting all my goals done in 2023. And I was like kind of starting to get that adrenaline rush again. And I think if I plan it out right, I could potentially Cherry Blossom, which is my not the one I just showed you. I have a full coverage, a small full coverage called Cherry Blossom. And that one needs 1,200 stitches to get that goal done. And it's intense stitch, so cutting that in half is 600. I could do that in one night. And it's a lot of this, it's a lot of like it's dithering where it's like color A, color B, color A, color B, color A, color B. But it's like kind of solid of that. It's not like 500 colors in the area. So it goes really quick. So I could get that goal done. My other small full coverage is White Tiger Ghost. And I only need 1,000 stitches to get that one done. So that's 2 whips right there that I could potentially get wiped off the list this week. Mermaids of the Season Sal only needs 1,300 stitches to get that goal done. Hive Rules is 1,500, and Hive Rules is like the other whips I was telling you where it's really easy to get a crap ton done. Like that's not something I think, being realistic till next Friday, I don't think with the other stuff I want to do, I could get it done. It's doable in a week, but not with all my other stuff. But it's doable in the next 2 weeks if I work on half of it now and then the other half next week. Winter in the Village is done. Like I'm just looking at the stuff that I could potentially get done in the next 2 weeks. Sweet Bee. So where are we at? So by the end of July, I could potentially have Hive Rules, Sweet Bee, I'm just looking at ones that are like basically under 2,000 stitches. Where is Holiday Quaker? Holiday Quaker, where are you at? Holiday Quaker could be one. White Tiger Ghost, Cherry Blossom. I don't know about Winter Cookie Party is kind of on the fence. Same with Patchwork Quilt Room. Spicy Disaster and Sugar Skull are both sitting at around 1,800 stitches, almost 1,900, so And Christmas ABC is 3,000. I probably would have Cherry Blossom Creek done before Christmas ABC. I don't know. But there's like 5 whips that I could potentially have their goals done by the end of the month, depending on how my work week goes, how the weeks with the kids go, how Monopoly goes, like, you know. But there's some goals I could even get some of them done this week. And that would be more new whips to add to the list. So yeah, look for some more goals to be completed next week, because I think I'm gonna hold off on spinning the wheel. I'm going to look at how much time I have to stitch for that night and see if I can maybe knock out a goal or two. A goal, not 2 in one night, but see if I can like work on something to get a goal done. Yeah, that'll be exciting. So anyway, I think that's about it for me. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below. And if you like what you had to see and you're not already subscribed, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the bell to be notified whenever I post a new video. I generally will post every week. Be on the lookout for an upcoming Flosstube extra of Help Me Choose to help me pick my temperature whips for starting in August. And I think that might be about it. So take care. Happy stitching, get a lot of stitches in, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.